voice of the people. Z Garcia, voice of the people.
Hey everybody, Z Garcia here, and today I'm going to be kicking off my top 100 games of all time, 2016 style. I've done this list one time before. I did it back in 2014, and so it was nice to have that old data once I finished my top 100 to then go back and compare the new information to my old choices. And there was quite a bit of change, actually. There's 35 games that dropped off my top 100, which means 35 new choices. Not all of those games have been released in the last 2 years either. Some of them are older games that were around already. I will say, I think that if I was doing my list of let's say top 300 games, there would not be as much change. You know, I think, as you'll see later on in the list, sometimes my number 50 game is now my 30, my 30 is my 60, and so I think there's a lot of movement in there, there's fluidity, but ultimately, good games are still good games, and so if I did a big enough amount of games, they would change places, and obviously new games would come in, but there wouldn't be a 33% turnover like there is on this list. So, picking 100 gives you a pretty small sample, ultimately, of someone who plays a lot of games, and I do play a lot of games. And so, hopefully, this list will give you an idea of maybe some new games you want to go out there and try, and by new, I mean new to you, and or maybe it'll give you an idea of my style of games, what kind of games I enjoy, and make my reviews and my top 10 lists, what have you, more relevant to you. You'll be able to use what you know about me because of my choices here to inform you and let you know if you should be listening to what I say or do the exact opposite, right? So, let's kick it off right away. I'm going to do 100 through 91 today, and here we go. My number 100 is Keltis. Keltis is a Reiner Knizia game which evolved from Lost Cities. It's very Lost Cities-like, but for more players than just 2. You can play up to 4 players. The game then became Lost Cities, the board game, in the English American version, and then they did a card game of Keltis, which was not Lost Cities, so this whole system has been a little bit convoluted. I prefer Keltis to Lost Cities, the board game, because I like the look better, and I enjoy the game. It's real breezy. It's a very simple game to get into. You can explain the rules in just a few minutes and get playing with pretty much anyone. Good family game. Keltis is my number 100. My 99, also a very good family game, but dice-driven, really all dice-driven, and that is Las Vegas. Las Vegas, and by the way, Keltis was not on my top 100 last year, and I am going to be doing that. As I tell you the numbers, I'll tell you where they were last year if they're new to the list, and kind of how I feel about the change, which typically will not be a big deal unless it's a huge jump. Because like I said, I think the fluidity is just a part of making these lists, at least without looking back at the old list. So my number 100 Keltis, my number 99 is Las Vegas. Las Vegas, a dice-driven game, also new to the list this year. And this one is just really straightforward and clean and simple. You roll the dice, you pick which ones you want to assign to which casino, and you have to place all of them is the trick. So if I rolled a bunch of 5s, I'm probably going to win the 5 casino, but I might be running really low on dice for fighting anywhere else. You know what I mean? And so the amount of money available at each varies from round to round, and I like that a lot. You play 4 rounds, I think, and then the game's over. Quick, clean, good-looking game. I've played this with my parents, and they have liked it quite a bit, and they are not gamers at all. So I consider that a huge success. My number 98 was my number 68 last year. So it's dropped about 30 spots there, and that is Zularedo. Zularedo is still, I think, a wonderful family game with a great theme. A game that evolved from Coloretto, which was just a card game, really basically an abstract card game. And Zularedo added a nice running a zoo theme, added some beautiful pieces, a wonderful look to the whole thing. This one was nominated for Game of the Year some years ago, and I think it deserved it. I think it's a wonderful game. I think it does hold up. It's pretty straightforward, but isn't so simple that I would say gamers are bored by it. I think this one can go over well with a lot of groups, a lot of different folks. So check it out if you're not familiar with it. It might be old enough where a lot of folks watching perhaps don't know about it because it was just slightly before your time, you know. Anyway, that's my number 98, Zularedo. My number 97 is new to the list, and it is quite possibly the dumbest game on the list, but it had to make it because of the amount of fun I have had playing this thing. My number 97 is Wink. And in Wink, you put a bunch of cards out there with little funny faces, but who cares, numbers. And then there's another identical deck that you deal out to the players, and on your turn, you take a pawn of your color, you put it on a card, one that you're not holding. And by the time it is your turn again, whoever is holding that card must have winked at you without being caught by anybody else at the table. That's it. That's pretty much the game. You're trying to score some points, you know, but it sounds unbelievably ridiculous. I get that. It is pretty silly. But the giggles start flying almost immediately, and there is this electric tension that develops around the table that I have not seen a lot of games replicate. And so I really enjoy this game. Yeah, it's basically an activity about trying to catch each other winking and all that, but I think it's wonderful, and I've really had a blast with it. So my number 97 is Wink. My number 96 is a brand new game to the list as well. Perfect Alibi is a deduction game, a little bit like Clue, a little bit like Sleuth, a lot like Sleuth, actually, which is an old classic from Sid Saxon. And in the new one, the main new twist there, as compared to Sleuth, is that there are a few characters that move among the players, and they give you a special power, and that's really cool. Things like when someone else peeks at a card to get some information, you also peek. Things like you don't have to reveal a specific answer, stuff like that. I really like it. If you are someone who enjoys deduction games, I think you should check this one out. It's got a cool look, straightforward, clean design. I dig it a lot. That is Perfect Alibi. My number 95, also new to the list, though I think this was out already. Maybe not. Anyway, Legends of Andor is my 95. It's a big cooperative fantasy game. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's got a cool vibe to it. It's a nice sort of balance between Euro-style cooperative games, the ones that are mechanically driven, and American-style, where they are all about the theme first. This one's a thematic game, and it's got a cool theme to it, and it works well, but the mechanisms are really what is so tight that it makes the game what it is. There's this idea, which took some warming up to, I'll admit, where the monsters you kill, for every monster you kill, there's a clock that is sped up along the side of the board, and sometimes you have to kill them to keep them from going into the castle, but you don't always have to. And you have to be careful when you do and when you don't, and how you run around the board, what you buy, what you don't buy. But there's dice chucking and all of that for fighting. If you like fantasy, if you like co-ops, you gotta check this one out. That is Legends of Andor. 94 for me was 61 last year, so it's dropped some. Cleopatra and the Society of Architects. Beautiful game. This is a game that uses the box and has a bunch of plastic bits to build up a castle that on the table is going to look stunning the more you build, you literally add pieces to this, to the box on the table, which you flip the bottom upside down. The whole thing is beyond beautiful. It's from Days of Wonder, so right there, that should tell you how gorgeous I'm talking about here. My one caveat with this game, which is probably the reason it isn't higher actually on my list, is that it really plays best at 3, and I don't want to play with more than that because it's a little too slow. But with 3 players, it's a wonderful game. Thematic, interesting, engaging. You could do a theme night, like Egyptian theme night, and base it around this game, and I think that would work for you. Make it a get-together, friends, family, board games, food, and have this game be the centerpiece of the whole evening. That would work. That's why I think it's so rich. That is my 94. 93 for me was my 38 last year, so that's a big drop. And it's because it's a smaller game, I think, and I haven't really brought it to the table too much. I play a lot of fillers, and this is a filler. It is Felix the Cat in the Sack. And Felix the Cat in the Sack is from Friedman Freeze. It is a simple bidding game, and what I like about it so very much is that you are going to add a card to the pot, if you would, and you start bidding, but you don't know what's in there. You just know the card you put in there. As people drop out of the bidding, more cards are revealed, so you slowly learn what's in there, but you are also more committed. And eventually, someone wins. They pay out whatever they bid. They win the whole lot. Sometimes it's horrible. Sometimes they come away doing well. And after a few rounds, you see who wins. You count up your leftover money, and you count up the cards. Artwork is gorgeous. The whole thing is real easy to explain. I basically just did. And I think it works really well. It's got a nice flow. The closed economic system that it kind of has really works well. The whole thing is wonderful. Tight, clean. You've probably heard of For Sale, assuming you haven't heard of Felix the Cat in the Sack. I think this game is just as good, if not better. So, there you have it. My 92 is a brand new game to the list because it was not out. And this is Tides of Time. Tides of Time is a 2-player micro game. It's only got, I want to say 18 cards, something like that. And it's a drafting game on top of that. Something I would not have thought would work if you had asked me a couple years ago. A micro game, drafting game for only 2. But it does. And it's beautiful and clean, and the scoring is great, and you can do a little bit of hay drafting in it, where you're keeping what the other person wants, but you got to be careful you're keeping what you want. The whole thing is a tiny box. It's, I think, $12. It's great. I really have gotten a lot of plays out of it, and if it sounds like it's your kind of thing, if you like drafting at all, you have to go check it out. But if you like small games, something you can really easily carry around with you, plays 2, wonderful game, Tides of Time. And then my 91, where we're going to wrap up today, was my 55 when I did this list last time, and that is Long Shot. Now, Long Shot has admittedly dropped quite a bit for me, not just here, but from when I first got this game. I remember distinctly, I rated the game a 10. That's how amazing and fun and wonderful this game was to me when I first got it. It made you feel like you were at the races. It made you feel invested. It made you stand up for those final few rolls of the horse race. And that's what I had. It was hard to find that, I didn't experience that with every game, and it was just wonderfully thematic. Now, the game has dropped for me because I do think it's a little long, and it's a little samey, but I think it is still an amazing experience. It will get you hollering around the table. It's going to get you invested. It's going to get you having a good time, throwing money around, making crazy bets. Screaming at the dice, shaking them in strange ways to see if you get what you want to get. That's what this game brings to the table, and I think it does so in a wonderful way. So, that is my 91 Long Shot, and this is where we stop for today. I will see you all very soon Come on back for my 90 through 81, and then keep on coming back for the rest of them, because I am doing my top 100 games of all time, 2016 style. I will see y'all next time. I'm Z Garcia. I'm out.
Z can be a little polemic. He stings like the 8th outbreaking pandemic. Z's got flavor in his top 100 games.
Lights, shower.
Z Garcia, voice